Hi guys, Raj here, just doing a quick market update, a bit of a scan of the markets and see where we're placed. This week, remember, we've got the big FOMC meeting, and that's where the Fed are just going to make some decisions on their QE and their tapering and also their rate decision, but rates aren't very likely to change. So it's nothing really about that. It's mainly about the price action surrounding that. So without further ado, let's go into it. And you can see here, we've got the DAX here, which is setting up for a level 2 short. So that's where we get green below red, and potentially it means that we could have a bit of a down week. But having said that, we're getting a few conflicting signals because on the daily here, our momentum trigger could end up going up. So that's the first point of call that I'm looking for, is if the price moves back up, are we going to get a positive momentum trigger? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the size of this chart to show you what normally happens when we get these momentum triggers. So if you look around this point here, this is where the storyteller goes underneath the zero line and back up. We get a good solid momentum trigger, and although price action was very choppy, the market basically moved up pretty smoothly from there. Other than this first part of a bit of choppiness, we had a bit of a strong move. So now we've moved back under and we're going to move back up. It's just be interesting to see whether that move up could give us a few intraday trades really to the upside. But on the weekly, that's showing us that we could potentially move down. So we normally play that on around a 4-hour chart. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like on the 4-hour on this one here. And what we're really going to be looking at is if this trend line here breaks to the downside. So we've got this one here, and then I'm going to add this one in here. So I've got two. So this shorter one, the one that's a bit steeper, that's already been broken. So that potentially, if we break below these moving averages and we get a negative momentum trigger here, we could head over to here in the DAX. Okay, so that's my picture for the DAX. I'm still waiting for that daily momentum trigger on the long side though. That's my first point of call. The rest of them are all alternative scenarios, and the reason being is because we're in such a strong positive uptrend. Let's go over to the States and go to the S&P 500, which has been really strong recently. And today we're up 0.23% as well. So we're having quite a strong day in equities. So just look at the monthly. The monthly is just really shooting up. The weekly is really shooting up. And let me show you what we looked at on the day today, okay? So I'm going to bring this down to an hourly chart, because you see we had this little pullback here. We had this little small pullback, and then we shot beyond there. We've had a move up to hit the double top pattern. So that this move has already played out. What we really want to see is if we get a low and another push through this level, which is at around 4,415. If we break that, then we potentially could move higher. And the targets for this one are basically made on the fib extension. So we're looking at the 127. That is around 4,423, or even beyond that at 4,435, the 161.8, the golden Fibonacci ratio. So that's what we'll be looking at for in the S&P 500. Okay, so let's go and pick up some other charts. Let's go ahead and look at GBPUSD, which has had another really strong day today. And you can see here, after a period of it moving a lot lower, we've bounced off this moving average here, so the 50-period moving average, exponential moving average, and we've come back up. So a nice good bounce off of that. We haven't printed a weekly momentum trigger negative yet, and it looks like we're about to print a positive momentum trigger over the next couple of sessions. So that's what I'll be looking out for there, because on the monthly, we've got this situation where we're green above red with a low OBS. So we potentially could go back in line with the trend. A few ways that you could be looking at with this, so I'm going to increase the size of this chart, is let's pick up a trend line first of all. So that's one thing that I always generally look at first. I'll plot the major trend line there, and then this one here, and you can see we've just about broken above that one. Often when we get breaks, we often get retests, so then we can see if we can get another move up to the upside here. Probably the first resistance that I'd be looking out for is this one here, which seems pretty firm. We've got a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches at this resistance level. So that's a kind of target, and it's a round number you can see there at 140 to look out for. Euro dollar, that's also a really interesting one. So you can see here, we've had this kind of double top pattern where it's printed a lower high, lower low, but we popped back up today. I really fully expect this trend to keep going down. So I'm going to look at a movement up to the cluster of moving averages and see if we can break lower. Let's check what that looks like that on the 4-hour chart. So on the 4-hour chart, you can see it's a pretty firm downtrend. We had a little bit of this divergence here for the move back up, but in and around this area here, there's a lot of price movement and quite a lot of price clustering. So that level around there is about 118.78. We could see a move lower if this continues from here, because you can see we've got a positive momentum trigger on the 4-hour chart. So let's keep an eye out on that one. The last one really today that I want to bring to your attention is in the commodity space, and it's copper. Copper has really picked up overnight. And you can see this move here, and we're actually getting a new momentum trigger to the upside on copper. So this is a really bullish trend. We've dipped below the moving averages, moved back above. We've also broken this trend line here, which is something that I do like to see, with a new momentum trigger. So it's kind of like the trifecta here of things going on. So let's see how far this can take us. Will we get to the new high? Will we break to the fib extension? All pretty exciting in copper. But they're all the markets that I'm really looking at the moment, and I hope to keep an eye on them for the rest of this week. So good luck, and if you've got any questions or you need anything, just get in touch, put your questions in the comment section, and we'll be happy to address them. Cheers, guys.